Hello, my enchanting creatives. Today, you're going to learn how to do a very easy beginner technique. However, you're still going to get a beautiful painting. The technique that we will be doing today is called the straight dirty cup. Now, let me go over the supplies, materials that you need to have on hand. First of all, you're going to need a pouring surface so that you can catch the paint drips that are going to be falling off from your canvas. This can either be a non-stick baking cookie sheet. Sorry, I made some paintings before, so that's why there's paint down below. But you need a non-stick baking sheet like this. The bigger, the better, because trust me, you're going to start pouring some bigger paintings soon, and you want to have a big pan. So the bigger that you can find, the better. You can get it at Walmart, Amazon. You can get a used one from some of those stores where people donate their stuff. Or if you don't have a baking sheet like this, you can also use a silicone mat, or you can use a plastic just like this. So any plastic that you can use to cover your working surface is also a great idea. You can also use doggy pea pads. Those are great as well. However, I prefer the non-stick baking pan because once I'm done with my painting, I can just carry it to wherever I need my painting to dry, and it's easy to just place this pan wherever I want. If you just place your painting on the plastic sheet or on a silicone mat, the silicone mat is going to just be wobbly, and you're going to have a hard time moving your painting somewhere else. So I prefer this, plus it's reusable. I don't have to throw away plastic or throw away doggy pea pads and contaminate our planet even more. So once your paint is dry from the previous paintings, all you have to do is just peel the paint off and it will just come right off, just like that. So it's easy and you can reuse this over and over. Second, you're going to need either a pouring rack. You can get these at Walmart. These are the ones that you use for like putting the dishes on. However, you don't need it. You can just use some push pins like these and stick them on the back of your canvas. And then that way the canvas will be a little bit elevated, and then you can just place your canvas right on top of your pouring surface. So you just need to make sure that your canvas is a little bit lifted off from the surface so that it doesn't get stuck to the pan with all of the paint drips that are going to be falling off from it. So if you are going to put some push pins, you should put them on now, and just make sure that they all go in to about the same level, because you need your canvas to be level. Otherwise, your paint is going to fall off from one edge of your canvas. So you want to make sure that they're all pushed in, and some of these canvases are harder to push in than others. So if you're having a hard time pushing one in, then just pull the other ones up to about the same level. And that's another thing that you're going to need. You're going to need a level to make sure that your pouring surface is level. So you'll want to place your canvas on your pouring surface, and then you're going to put a level right on top. So here's my level, and I'm just going to place it, and this looks like it's going that way. Actually, it needs to be that way a little bit, and so this side needs to be lifted slightly a little bit more. And you can also feel it, like right now it's not sitting perfectly on the corners. Okay, now it's sitting on all corners. And yeah, just make sure that the bubbles are center, in the middle. These bubbles should also be in the middle. That one's in the middle. Okay, so that's good for me. And that's level. So like I said, you can just use push pins. In this case, I'm going to use my pouring rack just so that you can see my painting up a little bit higher. And obviously, I forgot to mention that you needed a canvas. This is an 8x8 canvas. I want you to start on a smaller canvas just so that you can get a hang of the technique. And once you do that, you can pour on a bigger canvas if you'd like. But start small. It's a lot better to start small, and if you don't like it, you didn't ruin a big canvas. You're also going to need some mixing cups, and these are 4-ounce cups that come with a lid. They look like this, and I love them because you can store your leftover paints. You can reuse them when you're done. You just wash them and reuse these cups. You're going to need 5 cups for mixing your paints and 1 cup for layering your paints. You'll also need your pouring medium. We're going to use Floetrol. This is American Floetrol, which again, you can buy at Home Depot or Lowe's or Amazon. And you'll also want to use some stirring sticks. These are reusable, silicone kind, and obviously a pair of gloves if you don't want to get your hands dirty. And the colors that we will be using today are the Artist Loft White. This is the Flow Acrylic. If you can't find this, then any brand of white paint. You can use titanium white from Amsterdam, Liquitex, Basics. I wouldn't use Apple Barrel or Deco Art. Those seem to be lower quality paints. I wouldn't use craft paints, that's what I'm saying. I would use a paint that comes in a tube, something like this, okay? Not in a bottle. The bottle ones are craft paints, and the white seems to have an issue with cracking. So I'd rather just avoid the cracking by using a little bit more expensive white paint, such as Liquitex Basics or Amsterdam or Winsor & Newton, Pebeo, almost any white brand of paint that comes in a tube like this is a little bit better than the ones that come in a bottle. So the other color is light blue, Artist Loft brand, Academic Level 1, Liquitex Basics. This is turquoise blue. And again, if you can't find these colors where you live at, you can get colors that are similar to these. So you could get a turquoise blue in Artist Loft brand or any other brand. And obviously a light blue as well. Try to find something that looks similar to this. And this one is deep yellow from Artist Loft, Deco Art Americana Decor Metallics. I want to use this in our pour painting because metallics give paintings some nice effects. So all of the other colors that we're using are flat paints. So we want to use a metallic just to get a little bit of a nicer effect going through our painting. If you can't find this Deco Art paint, you can try to find another one that is similar. You might not get the same results, but you can try using any metallic paint to at least get similar results. This is emerald green. Actually, it's just called emerald. So that's what we're going to be using. Okay, so now it's time to get started. Grab your gloves. Okay, now that we have our gloves on, we're going to start mixing our paints. Since this is a pretty small canvas, I'm not going to be doing 4 ounces of paint for each of our colors. I think I'm just going to be doing 2 ounces total for each one, and maybe 4 ounces of the white, because I am going to use the white one as a base coat. So I might do 4 for the white and only 2 for the rest of the paint. So let's start with the white, and we're going to add 1 part paint. So we're going to add 1 ounce. Okay, just a little bit more. And you're going to add 3 ounces of Floetrol. Make sure that you mix or that you shake your Floetrol bottle. If your Floetrol is too old or has been sitting for a long time, sometimes it creates some goopy things inside. So if you do see something come out, it's always a good idea to strain it. But right now, I don't think this one has anything in it, but oh, actually it does. There, see? Oh my goodness. Okay, well, if you see something like that, just take it out. And that's a new bottle. But yeah, sometimes I get those clumps in there, sometimes I don't. I'm not sure why, but if you do find one, take it out. Or if you prefer, you can strain the Floetrol before using it, and then that way you make sure that you really don't have any clumps in there. Mix this really well, and then we're going to add some water in it. I have half an ounce of water here, and I'm going to add it slowly, a little bit at a time. Mix it in, keep adding more. Okay, I'm going to tell you about how much water I've added, but I'm still going to show you the consistency of the paint. Even if you're measuring the same brand of paint and the same amount of paint and the same amount of pouring medium that I'm mentioning here, you might get a thicker mixture than I have if your paint is a little bit older and thicker. And let me see if this is enough water for this paint mix. So I think this is good enough. So the paint is flowing off from the stick in a steady stream. You can see how it forms a little mound. As the paint falls in the cup, it makes a little mound right there, okay? So we're going to count how many seconds it takes for a drop of paint to integrate with the rest of the paint in the cup. And that will give you an idea of the consistency of your paint mix. So let's give this a try. 1, 2. 1, 2. So it takes about 2 seconds for that paint to integrate. I'm going to add a little bit more water because I want this to have a, like, closer to a 1 second mound. So I'm adding 1/4 of an ounce. So currently we have about 3/4 of an ounce of water. That's what we've added here. And I think that will be enough, but let's still check our paint. When you're checking the paint consistency, doing the drop test, you want to make sure that you lift your stirring stick about 1 inch above your paint, and then let the drop fall from that distance. 1. Yeah, I think it's about 1 second. Let's see. Good. It's coming, it's coming. 1, 2. Let's see. Trying to see and put it in the camera as well, so 1, 1, 2. The drop disappears before I count to 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. So yeah, that should be good enough. Now you're going to mix your turquoise blue. Again, now for this one, let's add 1/4 of an ounce. I know this is going to be a little tricky here because we're adding a very tiny amount. Actually, we're adding 1/2 an ounce, not 1/4. we're adding half an ounce of paint. So we're adding about 1 part paint and 3 parts pouring medium. So we did 1 ounce white paint and 3 ounces of pouring medium, and that gave us a total of 4 ounces of paint. Now here, I'm going to do half an ounce of paint. So now we're going to add 3 times that amount of pouring medium. So we're going to add 1.5 ounces. So 1.5 ounces of pouring medium plus half an ounce of paint is going to give us 2 ounces. So we're going to fill this up to the 2 ounce mark. And measuring the water for this is going to be a little tricky because these cups don't have measurements that are that small. So I can only see the half an ounce, but you can use these other type of cups that have, these are 30 milliliter cups, and 30 milliliters is roughly 1 ounce. So it's a little bit easier to measure our water for these smaller amounts here with these type of cups. Okay, I have 30 milliliters in there. I'm not sure if that's going to be too much. Wait, did I say 30? No, I have 10 milliliters in there, sorry. So 10 milliliters is roughly 1/3 of an ounce. I think it's too thick. Yeah, so I think we might need the whole 1/3 of an ounce in there. Still too thick. So I have 5 more milliliters. So now I'm adding roughly 15 mils, so half an ounce maybe? Okay, I think I need more. Maybe not quite the full half an ounce. So let's give this a try. No. It's still taking a long time. Wow, okay. See what I mean? Sometimes, like for this, I'm doing half the amount of what I did with the white, and I'm almost using the same amount of water. The paints just really depend. You know, what you're using, how old they are, how much time they've been sitting on the shelf, the brand of the paint, the batch that you got it from. Yeah, this is taking like 2 seconds. Okay, I have another 5 ounces here, so that's about 20 milliliters so far. How much is 20 milliliters in ounces? 2/3? Yeah, 2/3 of an ounce. 1, 2. So the drop integrates before I have a chance to say 2. So I think we're good with that. We didn't quite add exactly the 2/3 of an ounce. I still have some water left over in there. So let's see, how much was it? So it was about 18 ounces of water. Not 18 ounces, 18 milliliters of water. Okay, next one, yellow. Same thing, half an ounce of paint, 1.5 ounces of pouring medium. I got myself 20 milliliters here of water, so 2/3 of an ounce of water. We'll see how much it takes to get this to the right consistency. One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2. So yeah, this one's good. Let's mix our light blue and then emerald green. It's roughly taking about 2/3 of an ounce of water for these paints, but just to make sure, you know, start adding water little by little, because it's better to have it be a little too thick and then just continue adding water to thin it down than making your paint super thin because you went overboard with the water, and then now you have to thicken it up, and you end up having to create a ton of paint because you have to add a lot more paint now, you know, from the tube to thicken it up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So it does dissipate before counting to 2. So we're gonna call that good. And now the last one. This one, I've had it for such a long time that it is super, super thick. So your measurements are going to be completely different for this paint because yours is going to be probably be a lot thinner than what mine is. Because like I said, I've had it for just such a long time that it's starting to thicken up. You can start doing that right now. Okay, I got 1/2 ounce roughly in there. If for some reason this turns out to be thinner, because I can't remember what the consistency, the true consistency of this paint is when it comes from the store, but if you add the 1.5 ounces of Floetrol and you feel like your paint is way too thin, then just add more paint, okay? Just add a little bit more paint until it thickens up to the correct consistency. But I think it's not as thin as I remember. That needs water. I have 20 milliliters of water in here. But again, this is probably going to be different for you just because my paint is super thick. You might need to add a little bit less water than me. I don't know. Just add little by little, do the drop test, check your paint, make sure it has a similar consistency to all the other paints that you've mixed so far. And the consistency doesn't need to be spot on. It has to be very close, but not, obviously not perfect. You can be a little bit off and still be okay. This is a little harder to see because metallics kind of form these circles in there that don't disappear. So when a drop falls, you probably think that the drop is still there, but the drop already flattened out. So you just have to look at it closely. You might not see it here on camera, but 1, 2. So it does dissipate within the 2 seconds. 1, 2. So I think this is good. Okay. Now, okay, so for the paint, the green paint, I added just like 10 milliliters of water, so 1/3 of an ounce. Let me tell you how we're going to layer our colors. Let me tell you how we're going to layer our colors. So you're going to put your cup and you're going to layer your colors in the following order. So you're going to add some yellow, blue, white, turquoise, the metallic emerald green, and we're going to keep layering those colors until we fill our cup all the way up here. These colors won't muddy up a lot, so you're good to layer them in any ratios. I probably don't want to add a lot of white because white sometimes will make your colors, it will make your colors lighter. So I don't want my colors to be super light all over. You know, I just want to keep my colors vibrant rather than having pastel looking colors. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna have enough space in here for the green. I did want to add more of this green. Okay, I think I added a little bit too much of the other colors. I'm gonna set that aside for a little bit, and you're going to add some white on top of your canvas because it will just make everything move around a lot easier. You just want to get an even coat of white paint everywhere. And like I said, it's a good idea to tilt it around rather than just spread it out with your gloves, because if you spread it out with your gloves, the paint is not going to be level throughout. You're going to have some areas where the paint is going to be higher than other areas. So don't be afraid to add paint and just let the paint flow to every single corner. Get your whole canvas covered. And this will help your paint from your cup glide a lot easier on the surface of your canvas. I'm going to start pouring my paints right in the center, and it's called a straight pour, a dirty cup. First of all, it's called a dirty cup because you're putting all your colors into one cup, and the cup will eventually like look all muddy and messy because all the colors will mix in there. So that's why it's called a dirty cup. But this is a straight pour because we're pouring our paint straight onto the canvas, and you can pour it in any way that you want. You can pour it in lines and circles and, you know, zigzaggy lines. Just pour it all, you know, just dump it all in one spot, or, you know, place some paint in some areas and then tilt. This just really depends on what you want to do. However, for this particular one, I'm going to pour my paint from up high, and as I'm letting the paint fall onto the canvas, I'm going to start moving slowly my cup around in different areas of the canvas. So let me show you, and then you can follow along. So you probably don't want to overfill your cup like I did, because it's going to be harder to pour this, but I'm going to start pouring right here in the middle from way up high. Okay, and as I'm pouring, I'm going to be moving around. This cup is really not liking me today. There we go. Okay, so I know it's a lot of paint, and it is a lot. You could have probably made 3 ounces of paint, but I prefer to have a lot and then just tilt it and not have to worry about not having enough. Way too much green here, and way too much color. And there you have it. Now I know we wasted a ton of paint down there, but don't freak about it, okay? You can always scoop that paint up and mix it all up, and you're going to get a totally different color of paint that you can use for any other type of pour that you're going to be doing. So it doesn't need to go to waste. We're getting some little cells happening over here on this corner. Now let's give this another go. So I wanted to include this video so that you can give this pour a try. This is another beginner technique. It's also using a dirty cup, and you're going to layer the same colors that you used for the other pour painting. However, in this one, I decided to add in one more color, and we're going to add a copper to our colors. The one that I'm using is this one called Brown Red from Master's Touch. However, you can use any copper color that you find. There are some available from Artist Loft, from Amsterdam, from Liquitex Basics, because yeah, any metallic copper paint will work. And you're going to again mix it the same way as you mixed all your other paints, and you're going to have a 1 second mound consistency, so your paint should integrate almost immediately when you drop it in. And I just wanted to add in that extra color to give our painting a little bit more contrast and maybe possibly a few more effects going on. So we're going to layer our colors in this manner here. We're going to add the green, yellow, turquoise blue, this is copper, light blue, white, and again we're going to continue layering these colors, green, yellow, turquoise, copper. And for this, I do think we're going to need 4 ounces in total because we don't have any paint on our canvas. I do have a little bit on there, but it's not like a layer of paint. It's just, I just scraped off the paint from the previous canvas, the previous painting that we did, so that I can reuse it. So now that we have our dirty cup, I'm going to mostly like just pour the colors right in the middle maybe, and then tilt. So I'm gonna go like this. Okay. Now, you're just going to let this sit for a little bit. And you can already see some cells happening. I don't want to lose those cells over there, but then I also have some cells here that I don't want to lose either. So first let's tilt to one edge. Then go to the other edge. And now I'm going to lose those there. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna lose those cells there. Okay, let's stop moving it for a little bit because you can see some cells up there. Some cells are forming over here. We have some green cells going on as well. So we're getting a lot more cells this time. Okay, we're gonna let this sit for a little bit. We see some white cells going on through there, some green ones happening, some tiny cells over here, some more cells over there. So you can see how adding a metallic color can create some cell formations. So it's always a good idea to use a few metallics. In this case, we use 2 metallics, and it's a good idea to layer a non-metallic with a metallic, non-metallic with metallic, and so forth. And then that will help with the formation of cells. I do like what's happening there, so we're just gonna let this painting sit and do its thing, see if any other new cells pop up. So here's a close-up. Let me show you. This painting might still continue to react, so I might show this painting to you a little bit later, but you see some green cells right there, some white ones. We do have a few more over here, tiny ones. We have some more up here. You know, some nice patterns in there in the copper area. So lots of cells in this one. Let me show you the other one. This is the one that we did without the copper. It's also very pretty. And also a lot of cells are happening here. You know, some tiny, some medium ones. Some of the white and green ones are happening throughout those areas, especially down here. So I do like both of these. I like the colors of both.